All right, let's take this thing together. So, email. There we go. What does the term hypothesis refer to in the scientific method? It's probably going to have something to do with a guess. Ah, yes, an educated guess about the answer to a question. Guess is the best analogy for hypothesis. Hypothesis, guess. Same words, just hypothesis is the scientific word for a guess. Which term describes the things you change on purpose in the experiment? Well, things that I change in the experiment is the independent variable. It's things that I changed. Independent variable, I change it. Okay. What would an example of an independent variable be in an experiment testing plant growth? Something I could change with plant growth. The height of the plants? No, that's probably something I'm going to measure. Type of soil used? Yeah, that might be something I could change. I could change the type of soil, maybe rocky, maybe sandy, maybe different minerals in it. The amount of sunlight plants receive. I could also probably change how much I put them out in the sunlight and the number of days the experiment runs. I would say independent variable, probably the best one is type of soil. I know I for sure could probably change that. There's some other ones in here that would be okay answers, but I think that's the best one. What is the dependent variable in the experiment? That's going to include data. So the variable you collect or measure and collect data on. Oh, there it is, data. Dependent data. Variable you change deliberately? No, that's the independent. Hypothesis you test? No. The step where you conduct background research? No. Dependent data. Okay. Moving on. Qualitative data. Quality. Qualitative quality. So, the measured quantities with numbers? No, not numbers for this one. Got the information about the qualities or characteristic. There it is. Qualitative qualities. Qualitative qualities. Or characteristics like smooth, bumpy, hot, cold. Quantitative, the quantity of something. This means numbers. So do I have anything that has anything to do with numbers? I do. Quantitative, numbers. In the scientific method, what is the purpose of analyzing your data? Why would I want to look at my data to design an experiment? No, that would be way before I analyze my data. To make a guess about your answer, that's like a hypothesis. To look at information gathered from the experiments, probably. To change the independent variable, probably not. So this seems like the best one. Reason I would look at my data is to look at the information gathered from the experiments, to break it down. To analyze means to break something down. When you draw a conclusion in the scientific method, what are you deciding? How to conduct background research? No, the conclusion's at the end. It's kind of like the same thing at a paper. If your guess or hypothesis was correct based on your data, this might be one. What the independent variable should be? No, that's way at the beginning. Like, what am I going to change? That's way at the beginning. And how to share your results. I'm going to probably guess when I draw a conclusion, it's if I was correct based off of my data. Which step of the scientific method involves telling others what you found out? Oh, that's got to be sharing your results, not asking a question or background research or looking at the data. I'm sharing my results. And if you're observing the texture of a material, what type of data are you collecting? So we have two different types of data, quantitative and qualitative. Does this involve a number? Texture involve a number? No, so it's not quantitative. It is a quality. The texture of something is a characteristic or a quality. All right, next. So, below is data collected from a student's pendulum lab. Okay, this is the pendulum lab that we did also. So hypothesis, if the mass weights increases, then the swings will decrease. Well, let's look at the data, 22, 21, 22, 22, 22. Well, it looks like we're pretty flat here. So if the mass, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increases, then the swings will decrease. Nope, this hypothesis is wrong. So, let's move on. What was the student's hypothesis? Well, it's right here. The student's hypothesis was if the mass weights increases, then the swings will decrease. Got it? Do I accept or reject the student's hypothesis? I reject the student's hypothesis. What were the results of this lab? Use at least 2 pieces of data to support my statement. Well, let's just pick out 2 pieces of data from either graph 1 or table 1. I prefer the table because the numbers are right here. And so I'm just going to pick out 2 sections of data to show that they're the same. So when the mass was 1, the swings were 22. Okay. When the mass was 1, the swings were 22. Also, when the mass was 5, the number of swings were 22. When the mass was 5, the number of swings were 22. Looks like we don't have any units to put on here because the graph doesn't really have units. It says weights and seconds. That's not really great. So we're just going to skip the units for this one, and that should be everything I need. All right, make sure you stay on this video to get the password to retake this test. You only get one more shot on this test, so I sure hope you paid attention. Best of luck.